Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. This video is gonna be a little bit of a different thing from my usual type of content when it comes to like gaming or random news or whatever it might be. And I'm gonna go give you guys both a really cool, I guess, news for me, and also gonna talk about some of the craziest bankruptcy things I've ever had to go through in my entire life. Now, if you guys have been on my channel for quite some time, I actually have talked about the fact that I actually had a pretty not good experience when it comes to this one crypto company called Celsius Network. Now, at this point, I'm gonna be pretty honest with it because thankfully it is mostly done, I would say, and this is another big chapter of that closing where I had around $267,000 that was literally stolen from me. And when it comes to this company, now I may put this on like the Reddits or whatever in case other people want to share their stories or comment down below, but as of today, as of quite literally today, the big orchestrator, the big CEO himself, Alex Mashinsky, who was basically the guy who was running this company, the sham company, along with another few other different types of people in the director and board of co-founders such as Daniel Leone, they stole billions of dollars. I'm not joking. They scammed people from their retirements. They were horrible, horrible people. But as of right now, as of today, it is now pretty much confirmed that this guy is officially going to jail. We're going to talk about this, talk about the story, and as well, I guess kind of just get it off my chest because it's both a really, really good feeling to have a little bit more closure to this entire chapter of my life. It was traumatic. It was horrible. It was probably one of the worst things I've ever had to deal with in my entire life, as I'm sure you guys would imagine losing like over $250,000. I did get a little bit of that money back, but sadly not all of it, and I really wish it was. There might be future money coming over time with various lawsuits and things that they're involved with, and of course, I always want to remind anyone who's watching my channel who is not into crypto, please always be careful when it comes to speculatory, like just investments in any capacity, but especially in crypto, there's a lot of fraud. A lot of people will just trying to take any money you can off them, and it's not a fun experience. So when I talk about the fact that I lost over $250,000, but thankfully as of now, it seems like the guy who did it is finally going to prison. So let's go and I guess celebrate or be sad. I'm not really sure how this video is. It's been around a 2 to 3 year long saga, so I'm kind of getting over it, I guess, at this point, but let's go talk about it. Subscribe if you guys are new, and of course, leave a like or your thoughts and comments down below. I know this is a very strange video on it, but let's go talk about it. So as I mentioned, there was this one prior crypto company. It was called Celsius Network, and basically what they would do is the idea behind the company was they had your funds. You either give them like USD or Bitcoin or Ethereum, whatever, and what they would do is then loan it out to other companies, such as say like a big other exchange or like a huge hedge fund that needs $100 million, and they'll be like, hey, we'll go give you some Bitcoin as a collateral, whatever it might be. They also had retail loans for like a normal mom and pop that they have, say, 1 Bitcoin, they need like say $50,000 cash. They were able to go and basically orchestrate a loan for them, make some money on the interest. Now, the main idea behind this and how I kind of wrote people in, myself included, was that I was like, hey, the banks themselves, like think a normal bank, you have a mortgage, you have to pay, let's say, a 7% interest rate. Well, the bank itself would be pocketing that 7%, and then you'd base the person who has the mortgage will be getting a mortgage. Like, okay, fine, but who's making the money? The bank. So their idea and premise was, hey, you give us money to lend out, like how a bank would be, and we'll maybe pocket 1% because it's not our money anyway, and then you guys can get that 6% or 7% interest given back to you as like a somewhat uncollateralized loan, depending on how it was actually orchestrated. And like ideal and conceptually, that's somewhat common. And when it comes to the stock market and even other crypto companies that have been around for even longer than this, or those really big multi-billion, if not trillion-dollar huge hedge fund like acquisition companies, they basically have a chance to go and orchestrate this. Really rich people like say an Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, they can actually use their stock that has value as a collateral for loans or for houses or basically remortgaging, if you guys get the general big picture of all this, how it kind of works out. But the one big thing is that this guy was an absolute idiot, sham, complete scam artist, horrible person. Him and his wife belong in jail, and as of right now, we're going to celebrate because they were. As I mentioned, I had $267,000, probably one of the biggest mistakes I've ever done in my entire life. If you guys ever see ads on my videos, you guys are basically making so I'm not homeless, so thank you guys for that. But the big idea for this is that it sucked. Like, it was a horrible, traumatic experience. If you've ever gone through like things like, say, like there's like things over here. I was literally on a CoffeeZilla video over here, has 4.5 million views, and a few other ones too as well. This is me. I also think I look a little bit more chubby. I definitely put on weight during this bankruptcy. It was a horrible, horrible experience. Thankfully, I have lost some weight and gone back to my normal life because this did actually technically end as of this year. If you go on the actual website itself, it was, well, thankfully good. As of January 31st of 2024, it was wound down, the bankruptcy was over, but it was a very horrible 2-year period. I still have not fully recovered, and as of right now, I'm still in a lot of those like groups and Telegram groups or Twitter groups or whatever, where there's like parents and retirees that lost money. Like there's people, and I'm sure you guys can say whatever you guys want in crypto. I do agree it's very risky. Please be careful if you guys do it. Don't follow my footsteps. Or if you do, just please be very careful and always hold your own coins or custody yourself. Please do. But there's people who had like 10 Bitcoin. And how the bankruptcy kind of worked is that Bitcoin was valued when it went into bankruptcy. So anyone who had a claim form of basically determining how much money they got back, it'd be something like someone had 10 Bitcoin, they would have had a $200,000 claim, and due to the fact that price was locked on in, someone who maybe had 10 Bitcoin 3 years ago, who would technically be around $1 million as we speak, would only maybe have gotten $200,000 as their like what they are owed in the books, and then only a portion of that from that same $200,000, if that makes sense. It's basically got a haircut on a haircut due to how bankruptcy law works. So I saw, and I still do see a lot of people who have, like, you know, as crypto is kind of like somewhat gone up in value, have lost their entire life. I've seen people who got divorced. I saw people who did not keep going, you know, just from how bad the situation was. It was a horrible, horrible situation, probably some of the worst times in my entire life. But thankfully, as I mentioned, it has been somewhat resolved. Now, it's not good. I lost a lot of money, and a lot of other people also lost a lot of money out there. And people are not happy with it, especially with how everything went. So this is why we got to go take those small baby wins. Where as of right now, as of today, the guy who orchestrated all this type of like fraud and stealing money, basically the idea is that he just lied. He was trying to go like short the market and long the market. Think of the entire movie like The Wolf of Wall Street, if you've ever seen it. They were basically like assuming the money that these customers, like such as myself, have given to Celsius, the company, as their own. They spent like $1 billion trying to make a Bitcoin mining facility, and they basically overpaid everything on the company itself. So they lost like $300 million, $400 million just off of the depreciation alone. It was like trying to buy a car like a year ago or so when everything went skyrocketed high. It was just stupid. Like it just didn't make any sense, but it wasn't their money, so they didn't care. Same thing too as well, they were like siphoning out money. They stole hundreds of millions of dollars from all these big executives, and they were just horrible, horrible people. This guy's wife made a t-shirt when this bankruptcy started happening, and it was called Unbankrupt Yourself. In combination of like, don't be with banks. Like, banks aren't your friends. Look at the t-shirt he's wearing right now. Banks would have been my friends because they wouldn't have stolen $250,000 from me, which I will never get back, and my entire life has definitely changed since then. But the one big issue with this alone is that those people were scumbags, dude. They stole money, they siphoned out money, they lied to people publicly, and that is why they are now facing prison. And at this point, it's not even facing prison. As of right now, this guy pleaded guilty to all of the fraud cases out here. Now, he only pleaded guilty for 2 of the 7, but as of right now, it is pretty much confirmed this guy is going to jail. I'm not sure exactly how the sentencing and hearing will work because I'm not a lawyer, but basically he has confirmed that there is a 30 years on this guy that he could be potentially facing, and because he pleaded guilty, it pretty much means he's guaranteed to lock in at least a few of those years. It could be a plea deal, or maybe he gets a little bit less. Maybe the judge, you know, is like, hey, at least you're being honest, and maybe it cuts it down a little bit. But once again, there's still another 5 other potential counts of fraud that he has to face, and there is a lot of proof against this. Like, they literally have had, like, you know, all these big government bodies like the DOJ, the SEC, who have kind of probed into this company even before this bankruptcy and the scam happened. So this guy, in all extensive purposes, is probably screwed. Probably gonna go to jail for the rest of his life, or if not, well, at least for his hopefully for quite some time. If you give me at least 10 years, I'll be happy, because he already is like going to be about 60 years old. At that point, the guy's going to be 70 something, probably hopefully going to have to forfeit a lot of his assets and give it back to all these people who scammed, like myself. And hopefully that will do at least a little, like, you know, move the needle a little bit. But it's probably not going to be much, because overall, I think they lost $1.8 billion. And that's like from the value a few years ago. So that hole is not going to get filled. That hole is basically, a lot of us are screwed, and we might get another 1 or 2% of our claims back, which I'm not going to complain. I'm happy to see justice brought to it, but it's a crazy situation to even be a part of. Like, I never would have thought in my life I would have even be making a YouTube video on this, being on CoffeeZilla videos, or I was even on the news discussing this, because I was just very involved in it. I lost a lot of money. It was a horrible, horrible, traumatic experience, and funny enough, I actually had to deal with this in the background as I've been making YouTube videos. You probably even see the day of, and I almost would want to see how I reacted because I was very, very numb. But the whole moral of the story is that this guy is going to jail. As of right this second, he has confirmed like he was pumping up these random fake values with people like my own money. He pocketed at least $42 million before the collapse and also took out quite a bit more. He was like taking out loans and fake like crypto coin assets that had no real value. As I mentioned, they were like basically betting for and against the market. Like they were just using people's money to like fund their lavish lifestyle. Very similar to FTX. They were actually friends, if you guys are familiar with the FTX SBF, like Sam Bankman-Fried story. And it was horrible because, yeah, they froze over $4.7 billion of customers' assets as this guy was siphoning out money. As well as the other big directors like Roni Cohen-Pavab also pleading guilty, and it looks like everything is just coming out. Like this guy is unironically going to go to jail, hopefully for the rest of his life. Hopefully there'll be even more restitutions for someone like me. And I've been in this bankruptcy for a very long time over here too. Like you can see all these things, even here's for like some documents over here, all these like reported things. I was actually in some of these really big documentations. I'm like, this is like a 900-page documentation discussing all these types of various details and everything. Like it's crazy to go and see this. And I was involved in all this type of stuff. I was in active like discussion with lawyers. I had to sue people. I was filing motions, and I was with this with a lot of group of people because that's what we had to do. Like I lost all my money and I had to go and try to get at least something back. And that's why things are crazy, because I'm happy this guy is finally going to go to jail, hopefully for a very long time. Of his wife, who is also currently being sued, who is just a horrible, like these, I'm not someone who likes to call someone a horrible people, but these people were making fun of people who were in bankruptcy from that they caused. People like that were old retirement folks out there. They were saying, hey, this money is all safe. Don't you stress about it. It's totally fine. Trust me, it's okay. Our companies, if it goes bankrupt, you get your money back. If there's any issues, don't you worry. Hey, we're making $100 million a month. We're totally fine. Which, don't get me wrong, now in retrospect, definitely did seem a little bit, well, unlikely, but at the same time, like I was also invested more for the USDC, and there was a 7.1% interest rate, and at the time even T-bills like from the actual government themselves, I believe, were around 9% interest rate. And as well, we've also even seen some of the more historic high interest rates of even like a 5.7%. Some dividend stocks as well can easily pay out like 9 to 12% with that even not being that abnormal. And at the time I was like, okay, makes sense. You get like, I even saw like Canada, the Canadian pension fund invested hundreds of millions of dollars, like literal Canada, like actual Canada itself. So you would kind of assume all these big companies and big investment banks would at least do their due diligence. They never did. And that's why a lot of this got screwed over. And I myself also lost a lot of money, just how the reality of it. Now, thankfully, it's been like 2 years, 3 years since then. The bankruptcy ended earlier on this year, so I've had a chance to cope and kind of realize that my life, it could be worse. Like, I'm still thankful I got something back, and there might be something more coming out, like, say, for all of his assets they've seized. But I think the moral of the story is I'm very happy that this man right here, who stole billions upon billions of dollars from people like me, random retail folks, and as well as a lot of retirees. There's a lot of older folks out there who I saw complaining in the court, basically saying they can't even go and pay their bills. They were retired and they were promised this high amount of money to go and have a chance to keep on living and making their money back. And it was a very, very sad situation because, like I said, I'm a little bit younger. I can still keep grinding, putting some ads on YouTube videos or whatever it might be. But sadly, some folks out there are in their 60s, 70s and lost a lot of money. Lost a lot of crypto too as well. You guys may think whatever on crypto, but feel sorry for these people because they had a really horrible, bad situation. Now, there is a few more things in the future we might go and get. They are in some pretty big lawsuits with other companies who have stolen money off them, etc. But as of right this second, it hasn't been so good. So if anything, we're going to take this in stride. Be happy the man that stole a lot of money from me and a lot of other people I've met throughout this traumatic experience, and hopefully he can go rot in jail for the rest of his life. I don't really usually kind of say that for a lot of folks, but this man, of all things out here, has done a lot of horrible things that I can't even describe in this video, so just go and trust me on this one, that we're pretty happy that Alex Mashinsky is finally going to go off to jail. So a little bit of a weird video, kind of outside the norm. Hope you guys don't mind it, but I'm happy. I'm happy to finally see this, and I'll be very, very happy once this man is behind bars, because this guy did steal pretty much my entire life from me. And well, that's about it for me on this video. So if you guys have actually gone through this story through the YouTube algorithm, or if I put this on Reddit or whatever, would love to hear your story down below. And of course on this, if you guys are my normal subscribers, try to always be careful when it comes to investment stuff, trusting people blindly, or even crypto itself as a whole. Crypto is a very, very intriguing emerging market, but I always want you guys to be careful on where and how you put your money. And always remember, it's not your keys. If you don't have the keys, it's not your coins. Like, just be careful. Just be careful. Anyway, a little bit of a weirder video, because don't mind. I appreciate you all so much for watching and listening over here. Just be thankful. I'm happy this guy is finally gone, dude. You know, I'm just happy. Just happy. Thank God.